Welcome back, anatomy students. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about accessory structures to the skin, and that's primarily going to be the glands found in the skin, hair, and your nails. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we made our way through the epidermis and the dermis and subcutaneous layer. Now we're going to talk about the accessory structures of the skin. Our first accessory structure is going to be hair. Hair is associated with the word pili. So a lot of times when you see the prefix pili, it is in reference to hair. It is present on most surfaces except for the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. Hair is made up of dead, keratinized epidermal cells. So this is why it doesn't hurt to get your hair cut, because those cells are dead and they are basically just packed full of keratin. And again, keratin is that waterproofing agent that we find in the skin. Genetics will determine thickness and distribution of hair. So there are varying degrees. Some people have thicker hair, meaning more follicles per square inch. Other people have hair that the shaft of the hair is thicker or finer than others, and it all depends again on your DNA. Hair helps with touch sensation and protects the body against harmful effects of the sun and against heat loss. So it does help insulate your head. It will, and I can tell you as a very bald person that it will shade your scalp and prevent sunburn. And since I don't have any on the top of my head, the top of my head will burn quickly if I do not keep it covered. So those are the helpful things that hair can give you. And when it talks about sensation, you have nerve endings at the base of the hair follicle, even though the hair itself is dead, but vibrations can travel down the hair shaft into the root, and those vibrations will be felt by the nerve endings at the bottom of the hair follicle. The parts of the hair include the shaft. This is the part of the hair that's above the skin surface. This is the part that we can see. The root is the part of the hair that is embedded within the skin. And then we have the follicle. The follicle is the protective sheath that is around the hair root. So here we have, again, the skin cube showing us the diagram of the different parts. So again, above the skin, this is all going to be the hair shaft. Anything inside the skin is going to be the hair root. And then we have this protective sheath around the root, and that is the follicle. A couple things that we see associated with it: the sebaceous gland. This is the gland that secretes the oil called sebum that keeps the hair from becoming dry and brittle. This small, smooth muscle right here, smallest muscle in the body, that is called the erector pili. It is what causes the hair to stand up when we are cold or scared, or when we are excited, maybe even aggressive, is when the hair stands up, giving us the goosebumps. And the papillae of the hair, this is down at the bottom. This is where we're going to have the nerve endings. So here's another diagram showing a cross section of the hair. You can see the different layers. So this, if we cut the hair right here and look at the end, this is what we're going to see here. So you can see the different layers, the medulla, the cortex. I'm not real concerned about all that stuff. Basically, all I want you to know are the three parts: is the hair shaft is outside of the skin, the hair root is inside of the follicle, and then the follicle is the part that protects and nourishes the actual hair itself. Types of hair. Not sure if you were aware that there were these various types of hair, but these are the kinds that we have. Lanugo is fine, non-pigmented, downy hair that cover the body of the fetus. If you've ever seen a newborn baby, you probably noticed that they have a very fine, thin layer of hair that they will lose not short after birth. Vellus hairs are short, fine, pale hairs, barely visible to the naked eye. And then you have terminal hairs. These are the hairs that we can see. They are long, coarse, heavily pigmented hairs. So the hairs that you would have on your scalp and your legs and so on. And gentlemen, your later, your chest hair and, of course, your facial hair after puberty, naturally. Hair color is determined by the amount and type of melanin. So melanin not only gives us color to the skin, but it also will give us color to the hair. Remember from chapter 4 that glands are epithelial cells that secrete a substance. You have a couple different glands and that you're going to find in the skin, and sebaceous or the oil glands are always connected to the hair follicles. And they secrete an oily substance called sebum, I mentioned a couple slides ago, which does two important things. Number one, it prevents dehydration of the hair and skin, keeps it moist and preventing it from becoming brittle, dry and brittle, and then inhibits growth of certain bacteria, not all, but certain bacteria. So the oil that we secrete is supposed to keep our hair from becoming dry and brittle. But it is oily, and it gives our hair what we have deemed that to be that dirty kind of look, that dirty, oily look. So what we do is we wash our hair, we rid the hair of the oil, and without conditioner, our hair will become dry and brittle. So what we do is then we use conditioner to replace the sebum with a better smelling hair moisturizer. And so some would argue that our hair would be healthier if we would just not wash it. But, I don't think in our society we're going to do that, because even though the sebum does inhibit the growth of certain bacteria, it does not stop the growth of all. And there will be some bacteria that will feed on that sebum and can lead to a certain aroma. In addition to the oil glands, there are two types of sweat glands we find in your skin. They are the sebaceous glands. Some of them will be attached to the hair follicle. Some of them will not. And you have two kinds. You have eccrine sweat glands. They are the most numerous. They secrete a watery solution. On average, about 600 milliliters of sweat per day will be eliminated through eccrine glands. That helps to cool the body and eliminate small amounts of waste. These sweat glands are functioning throughout your life. They are working when you are born, and they work all the way through till the day you leave this planet. Apocrine sweat glands, on the other hand, are located mainly in the skin of certain areas, primarily the groin, the areola of the breasts, the armpits, the bearded facial region of males, and their sweat is very viscous or oily sweat. And these typically do not turn on until puberty. And if you remember walking down the halls of middle school as young children are starting to go through puberty and they are producing this more oily, viscous sweat in their armpits, middle schoolers start to get a certain funk about them. And that's when you start wearing deodorant and or antiperspirant. Little kids, not so much, because the elementary school age kids aren't going through puberty yet. So they don't quite have that, as I like to call it, that middle school smell. And that would be the reason, because again, your apocrine sweat glands don't start functioning until puberty. Eccrine sweat glands release sweat in response to emotional stress, such as fear or embarrassment. This type of sweating is referred to as emotional sweating or a cold sweat. So if you're sweaty palms when you're in a nervous situation, same kind of thing. The secretory portion of apocrine sweat glands is located mostly in the subcutaneous layer, and the excretory duct opens to the hair follicles. So if you think about the areas we talked, the groin, the armpit, the beard, there are hair follicles there. And so those sweat glands are typically going to be associated with those hairier regions of your body. They will be secreted during emotional stress and during sexual excitement. Much of body odor is due to apocrine sweat. Insert middle school funk in that part. Ceruminous glands are the glands in your ears. They secrete a substance called cerumen, also known as earwax, and we find them in the ear canal. Along with nearby sebaceous glands, they are involved in providing a waxy secretion called cerumen, which is what I just said, that provides a sticky barrier that prevents entry of foreign bodies into the ear canal. Now, I had a professor tell me that there have been some studies that indicate that some insects are repelled by the smell of earwax, and it prevents them and encourages them to not crawl in your ear canal, which is a good thing. Your nails. Nails are composed of hard keratinized epidermal cells as well, but more densely packed than hair, located over the dorsal surface of the ends of the fingers and the toes. Nail structures include the free edge. This is the part that we trim. The transparent nail body, that's the actual nail that's over your finger, also known as the nail plate. And at the very base, we have a whitish lanula. That's that little half moon, little white portion underneath the base of the nail. The nail root is part of the nail that is embedded and is underneath your skin. And if you push down on the front of your nail, you can see the nail root kind of pop up in the back of the skin at the base of your nail bed. So here's a diagram showing the different areas. So the nail root you can see is right here. That is under the skin. So if you push down on the free edge, that will cause this to pop up, and you can kind of see how deep it goes. The epinecium, also known as the cuticle, is that little layer of skin at the very back. Again, that wider half moon shaped structure underneath the nail bed at the back of your nail is called the lanula. The nail body or nail plate is the actual nail that is touching the skin on your fingertip. And then the part that we cut is the free edge, which is right there. The nail bed, also known as the hyponychium. Remember, hypo means below. So this is under the nail bed, under the nail plate. The nail bed, also known as hyponychium. And then, of course, just to give you an idea, this is the phalange here. That's your finger bone at the end. And that is going to be all for the accessory structures of the skin. All right, that's about all I got for you when it comes to accessory structures. If you have any questions about the hair on your bodies, your nails, and the glands in your bodies, just let me know. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.